Hi class, in Chapter 9 our focus is going to be on inequalities and equations. In Lesson 9.1 we will start off talking about inequalities. Learning targets for today, we will use inequalities to order the number system, and we will also graph inequalities on the number line. Some key terms to look for in today's lesson: inequality, graph of an inequality, solution set of an inequality, and ray. Let's take a look at problem number 1 on page 606. It says that in the past you probably used symbols that let you order numbers from least to greatest or from greatest to least. These symbols are called inequality symbols. An inequality is any math sentence that has an inequality symbol. All of the symbols that you see here in the table in the middle of the page should be very familiar to you for the less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, or not equal to. You definitely have used these in the past. For number 1, it says for each statement write the corresponding inequality, so go ahead and do letters A through E for number 1. Here is what your answers should look like for A through E. 7 is less than or equal to 23 for letter B, 56 greater than 28. C, 2 is not equal to 5. D, 7 6/10 is less than 8 2/10. And for letter E, 5 3/4 is greater than 4 2/3. Please make sure you check your symbols carefully, make sure that they are correct. If we take a look at number 2 at the top of page 607, now we want to write the meaning of each inequality in words. So go ahead and do letters A through E for number 2. Here is what your answers should look like for A through E. For letter A, 7 8/10 is not equal to 23 7/10. Letter B, 8 1/3 is less than or equal to 8 7/10. Letter C, 3/4 is greater than or equal to 75/100. Letter D, 43,256 is greater than 4,489. And finally for letter E, 12 thousandths is less than 2/100. Let's finish up problem 1 with number 3 and 4 at the bottom of page 607. For number 3, write less than or greater than to make each inequality true. And for number 4, write less than or equal to or greater than or equal to make each inequality true. If we take a look at number 3 first, letter A, 12 is greater than 2. B, 1 2/10 is less than 1 201 thousandths. Letter C, 3 1/3 is greater than 3 3/10. And letter D, 10 25 hundredths is greater than 10 1/5. For number 4, letter A, 1 is less than or equal to 2. B, 4 2/10 is less than or equal to 4 1/4. Letter C, 1/3 is greater than or equal to 3/10. Letter D, 25 hundredths is less than or equal to 2/5. And letter E, 24 33 hundredths is less than or equal to 24 1/3. Let's look at problem 2 on page 608 and look at inequalities and the number line. It says that a number line is a graphic representation of all numbers. If we take a look at number 1, it says plot and label each of the numbers shown on the number line. And for number 2, it says there are 5 points plotted on the number line shown. Identify the approximate location of each point. So go ahead and do A through E for number 1 and number 2. Let's take a look first at number 1. For letter A, you needed to plot 3, B, 2 3/10, C, 3 4/5, D, 4 1/3, and for E, 4 66 So take a look at your number line and make sure that you were pretty close as far as where you plotted these in your textbook. And if we take a look at number 2, for letter A, you should have had 1, letter B, about 1 8/10 or so, C, 2 1/2, D, about 3 25 hundredths, 3 1/4, and letter E, about 5 3/10, right around there. Again, these are approximate locations, so if you're pretty close to it, that'll be good. Let's take a look at number 3 at the top of page 609. It tells us that a point at A is plotted on the number line shown. For letter A, it says, plot a point to the right of this point and label it B, and then write 3 different inequalities that are true about A and B. And then I also want you to answer letter B. What can you say about all points to the right of point A on the number line? Take a look at the number line for number 3. You can see where point B is plotted. 3 different inequalities that are true then about A and B. You could write A is less than B, B is greater than A, and A is not equal to B. And for letter B, you should see then that all the points to the right of point A are greater than A. Let's look at doing the same thing for number 4. A point at A is plotted on the number line shown. For letter A, plot a point to the left of this point and label it B. Then write 3 different inequalities that are true about A and B. I also want you to answer letter B. What then can you say about all the points to the left of point A on the number line? For number 4, you can see where B is plotted on the number line. The 3 inequalities: A is greater than B, B is less than A, and again A is not equal to B. For letter B, you can see then that all the points to the left of point A are less than A. Let's finish up problem 2 with number 5 down at the bottom of page 609. It tells us to describe the position of all the points on the number line that are A greater than A and B less than A. So go ahead and answer number 5. The points greater than A are to the right of A, and the points less than A are to the left of A. Let's finish up lesson 9.1 with problem 3 on page 610. Now we will be graphing an inequality on a number line. It says up at the top that you can use a number line to represent inequalities. The graph of an inequality in one variable is the set of all points on a number line that make the inequality true. The set of all points that make an inequality true is the solution set of the inequality. Let's take a look at number 1. It says, look at the 2 inequalities. We have x is greater than 3 and x is greater than or equal to 3. So letter A asks us to, or tells us to describe the solution sets for each. So what we want to do is we want to look at all of the points on a number line that would make these 2 inequalities true. So go ahead and do letter A for number 1. So if we look at the solution set for x is greater than 3, we know that it is going to be all of the numbers that are greater than 3, but not including 3. The solution set then for x is greater than or equal to 3 is going to be all of the numbers that are greater than or equal to 3. Now let's take a look at letter B for number 1. It tells us to analyze the graphs of the 2 inequalities shown on each number line. So make sure that you take a look at these 2, and then it tells you to describe each number line representation. Let's go ahead and do letter B. You can see that the graph for x is greater than 3 is represented with an open circle on the 3 and all of the points greater than 3. You can see the arrow then pointing to the right. The graph of x is greater than or equal to 3 is represented then with a closed circle on the 3 and all of the points then that are represented that are greater than 3. So if you have greater than or less than, you are going to have an open circle. If you have greater than or equal to and less than or equal to, you are going to have a closed circle. If we take a look at letter C, it says, how does the solution set of the inequality x is greater than or equal to 3 differ from the solution set of x is greater than 3. So take a look back at letter A and letter B and see if you can figure out what the difference is. The solution set of the inequality x is greater than or equal to 3 includes the number 3. The solution set of x is greater than 3 does not include the number 3. Let's take a look at number 2 on the top of page 611. And again, we are looking at two different inequalities. This time x is less than 3 and x is less than or equal to 3. For letter A, describe the solution sets for each. B, analyze the graphs of the two inequalities shown on each number line and describe each number line representation. And finally, for letter C, how does the solution set of the inequality x is less than or equal to 3 differ from the solution set of x is less than 3? If we look at letter A, the solution set for x is less than 3 is going to be all of the numbers that is less than but not including 3, and the solution set for x is less than or equal to 3 is all of the numbers less than or equal to 3. For letter B, the graph of x is less than 3 again is represented with an open circle on 3 and all the points that are less than 3. The graph of x is less than or equal to 3 is represented with a closed circle on 3 and all the points less than 3. For letter C, the solution set of the inequality x is less than or equal to 3 includes the number 3, and the solution set of x is less than 3 does not include the number 3. At the top of page 612, it says the solution to any inequality can be represented on a number line by a ray whose starting point is an open or closed circle. A ray begins at a starting point and goes on forever in one direction. A closed circle means that the starting point is part of the solution set of the inequality, and an open circle means that the starting point is not part of the solution set of the inequality. So if we look at number 3, we want to write the inequality represented by each graph. Go ahead and do letters A through D for number 3. If we take a look at our answers for number 3, for letter A, we're going to have x is less than or equal to 15. Letter B, x is greater than 16.5. Letter C, x is less than 34.5. And for letter D, x is not equal to 23. Notice that the arrows are going in both directions for letter D. If we take a look at number 4, it tells us to graph the solution set for each inequality. Go ahead and do letters A through E for number 4. Here are what your answers should look like for A through E. Again, greater than or equal to and less than or equal to should have closed circles, and less than or greater than symbols should have open circles. That is going to be it for lesson 9.1 on inequalities. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.